Hey everybody, welcome back to Ba Gaming State of the Game. This is Solus, and we are playing Kenshi version 0.74.14. The aim of State of the Game is to take a look at some of the games out there and see where they're at in their current progress. Kenshi was developed by Lo-Fi Games. It's a squad-based sandbox RPG, and I mean literally, you're in a sandbox here. Lots to explore. About easily over 17 hours into this version. I lost track a while ago. And I say this version because my first attempt at playing the newer versions of the game, I tried the experimental branch, and that wasn't the best idea when you're trying to get a real state of how far you can go in the game. It's definitely stick to the stable branch unless you really want to help the developers with bugs or really see those new features. Um, so, what is Kenshi? What is your aim? Why am I standing in this little windmill-ridden fortress type thing? According to the developers, it's a free roaming squad based RPG that focuses on open ended sandbox gameplay features rather than a linear story. That's very true. There's no story other than what you make of this game. Let's get these guys doing something at least. Send me over here to work on this. You could work on machines. So yeah, everything that I've made that has been cinematic or story worthy has been of my own design in this game. Uh, the game kind of gives you a chance to sort of set yourself up for a storyline of some sort with a bunch of different starting scenarios. So you could be this lone wanderer character where it gives you nothing but a sword and some cash, and it plops you off in the middle of a town, which is what this game started as. Or you could start off as an old retired military captain with some enemies, and you have some fighting skills, but you have to be careful because you could run into those old enemies and things could go down there. You could start as these like freedom seeker guys where it gives you all these building materials, and your whole goal, well, the kind of sets you up to go build a town of your own. And that's actually where I first started the game. And I stepped out the door of the first city thinking, I'm going to go build this great town right off the bat. I'm going to get this gameplay session done in a couple hours, be able to record it. Literally 2 minutes later, a pack of wild dogs jumped over the side of a dune and ate everybody, and they all just bled to death. It was a humbling tale, to say the least. So that leads to the combat in this game. And when you first start off, I mean, no matter what, even if you start off as the old retired military captain with combat experience, the game is tough. You're going to get your butt handed to you. That much is for sure. Um, you're going to spend a lot of time early on basically finding a town, such as this is the starting town I was at, heading out into the wilderness, and you'll step out into this vast wilderness and have no idea where to go. It's kind of daunting, but it's also really cool because you can pretty much walk to anything you see. The map is absolutely ridiculously big. The website says it is 870 square kilometers, which is absolutely massive. And I've only uh, really explored this area right here, and that's what 20 hours of gameplay, and I've only gotten this far. I mean, I easily could have explored a lot more of it, but this is my bread and butter right here. Um, so you start off heading out in the wilderness. You got nothing. You got no shirt. You got a rusty sword on your back, and 15 bandits charge at you. I mean, if you try to fight those guys thinking you're going to be a badass, you're going to go down. You're going to go down real quick. And so what you're going to be spending most of your time doing is finding these guys, making sure that you can hopefully outrun them, and leading them back to towns. And in town, you'll be able to get the local mercenary guilds or guards, policemen, to kind of help you out. The policemen will take them out. You'll loot the bodies, maybe jump in for a little bit of fighting to build up your skills, which can be seen down here. Oh, I'm wearing something that lowers my backpack. So you down here, and that's kind of the start of how you'll do things. You'll be continue doing that kind of, you know, luring people in, getting them killed, stealing their goodies, finding bounties. Like, for instance, there's these sand ninjas that roam, and they have some special versions of them that you can turn into uh, the police for bounties. And you'll continue to do that until you kind of earn enough money to start to hire friends, like all these guys. I started off just one dude. This guy right here, that's me. Say hi. Hello. Apparently I'm wounded. I'm wounded, yes. Or I just like to stand like a, a weirdo. Um, and you'll build up friends, and I mean they don't really talk to each other, but you'll get friends together, and then you'll start to be able to fight back, and you'll find yourself having skilled enough men to be able to actually beat bandits. Usually the weak bandits first, and you'll continue to build yourself up, and you'll kind of develop this sense of how well you're doing by what enemies you can defeat. Um, you'll end up, the way the battles work is each person has a bunch of body parts, and they become wounded, and the guys will just fight themselves. You can't like sit there and be like, oh, I want my guy to hit this dude in the head with his sword. They just kind of find themselves in battle, and you can kind of just sit back and watch. Give them generic roles, like they could be completely blocking. Eventually, when they add ranged weapons to the game, you'll be able to, set them to range. You can taunt, which is kind of like, your tanky characters. Let's see who we got here. Perfect. Some weekend sand ninjas we can go beat up. Uh, and as things get wounded enough, you'll get knocked out. And if you have enough toughness, which is what you actually gain toughness by getting knocked out, your characters will eventually get back up, or you can use a medic to heal them if anyone survived, and you can carry your wounded around back to your base if you have one, or hope they'll just eventually wake up in the desert laying out in the hot sun for hours on end. And eventually, you know, you'll feel pretty comfortable about being at what you can take on, who you can fight. Like, these guys won't even be an issue to me. They used to be. As we do this, we'll kind of talk about some of the other fun aspects of the game. Like, there's an economy involved where you spend a lot of time at the shops buying, selling, mainly selling gear that you've picked up. Took him down real quick. And if you wanted to, you could focus on being kind of in the mercantile trade and watching the economy of different towns and seeing where luxury goods or weapons are buying or selling low, and where you can, or buy them low and then sell them high elsewhere. There's a whole different version of making money other than just running around killing people and looting their bodies, such as this. This being the inventory screen, you can see I have some pretty cool stuff. What? Why do I have two swords in that slot? It's silly. So yeah. So in the newer versions of the game, they've added cool new stuff, like the UI's changed completely. It's a lot fancier now. It looks better. They've added a cool tutorial in the game that you can go over. And I highly suggest, if you try this game out, going through this. It really kind of goes through, it gives you a lot of very strong clues of what you should be doing, how combat works, how the health bar works. Like, they even have different versions of what will actually heal. So like, when you get hurt, it'll go red and you'll need to bandage it, and then it'll turn yellow. And over time, the yellow will turn green, or this kind of greenish color, and will actually go back up. It's pretty in-depth, but pretty dang cool too. It tells you how to earn money, like I've told you. It tells you how tech works and how to do buildings, which is what we will go over next. So I'll run these guys back over in here now that we've had a nice little fight. What are you doing out here? So this is my base. This is what I spent, I don't know, the last 6-7 hours of this game trying to do. And it's not quick when you try to build bases. Like at first I was running from town to town, so I'd run to this town and purchase a bunch of building materials. And I run over to this town and purchase a bunch of building materials. And I'd run to this town, Trader's Edge, and buy a bunch of building materials. And I'd come back, and it would be just about enough to build me this little stone mine and maybe half of this stone processor. And eventually, you'll get enough people and enough stone that you'll be able to finish building these two things. And you'll have people mine this, and then these people will process stuff into building materials, and then you can use that to build houses. In these homes, it gives you a pretty cool ability to kind of set them up however you want. And as I can run in here, you can see what I did. This is the first place I built. So it gives you a blank slate, and I built this bed, a little chest that I can store stuff in. Yes, there you go, buddy. And then you can build what's called a research bench. And in your research bench, you use it to research a bunch of buildings and upgrades, lights and farms, defenses, like this cool prototype harpoon turret, which I really want. And you'll find yourself kind of getting addicted to how it works. So you need to build generators to power machines, which then you can use to power cooler things like this crossbow I'm building. Or you can get wind turrets to power your lights, and it kind of becomes this cyclical thing where you're okay. I need to get stone, and I need to ore, and I need to refine that into building materials so I can build stuff, and then I need to get more of that to build generators so I can build cooler stuff, and then I need to get more of it so I can build houses for people to stay in. And then it just keeps going like that, and it gets a little addicting. But it's pretty cool. It's coming along. It's a lot better than the first time I played it 2 years ago. The game still looks pretty similar. It's still pretty buggy, but I've managed to stick with it for the last 20 hours. Other new things the game has added recently. It's added wildlife, which of course there's none out there. There's giant ostrich creatures you can fight. What the heck is that? Clown steady. What? Oh, it's just the town looks different from here for some reason. Giant ostrich creatures that'll fight you if you get too close to them and try to defend their nests. Massive leviathans that are pretty docile, but if you try to fight them, they'll mess you up. They've added cannibals, which funny story, this town used to be full of people, and I was spending a lot of my time luring bandits into it, and I think I weakened the town too much, and eventually cannibals came in and stole everybody. So now it's just a ghost town forever, and now I can't buy supplies from there because there's no shopkeepers, and I think the cannibals ate them all. So that's a pretty cool little scenario they've added. So if I were to give a recommendation about this game, I would say definitely watch it. Watch their development. It's slow, but recently it's picked up a little bit. So I don't know exactly what the plans are for that, but I've seen a couple releases, out in the past couple months, which is very encouraging. It is still very buggy. The game will crash on you. The experimental versions I definitely stay away from. Things aren't quite perfect. Like, this may have been my fault, but walls kind of sticking out of walls. It looks very, oh, wow, yeah, there you go. It's one of those beak creatures freaking out. Tough little buggers, but he can just, I guess, he's my new guardian. He mans the walls for the watch. Yeah, I definitely recommend watch this game. It's a lot of fun. It has a lot of promise once they add in new biomes, new races, and all the cool things that they have planned and could happen. It's going to be great. So just, I'm crossing my fingers hoping that happens. But if it doesn't, then so be it. I'll leave you with a battle I had with a Leviathan earlier, and you can watch him absolutely destroy me while I sign off. Thank you for listening. This has been Solus from Bog Gaming. We played Kenshi, and stay tuned for next time, guys. Thanks.